1.3, we will have the Urban Land Institute on board. Mary's group is here today. They will lead a charrette process with us as we go through this task to actually look at that transit priority area, to see which areas are most ready for development, to see which areas are most viable, where are the policies in place to do that development, and how can we plan for the infrastructure that will be needed, so that we're making a real assessment, an honest assessment of what's needed to actually activate these transit priority areas. And we expect those workshops to happen in the May-June time frame, but really value your input as we build towards those workshops and your participation in them. After we do those, we'll do the SACOG, the required environmental analysis for our transportation plan. But because we have that new environmental streamlining possibility, we'll actually be going to the project level in some areas that you helped us select for the transit priority areas, so that we'll be doing a project level analysis for the first time in some of these areas, so that we can really help build the tiering mechanisms, those streamlining opportunities for our local governments, so that they can provide, so that they can attract developers to these transit priority areas. We'll follow this with action plans on those transit priority areas, where we'll connect the actions that are needed to the responsible agencies and really look for financing mechanisms to make this plan real. Work activity 2 is going to be led by Sacramento Housing and Redevelopment, and is really looking at affordable housing in our region in a new way for the first time. And so the tasks here are first an assessment of the existing conditions, looking across the region to see how we've been producing affordable housing, where it's located, what's out there. And then we will look at how we develop, we'll be working with a committee from the Air Resources Board to look at how we develop a jobs housing fit methodology, so that in our planning processes in the future, we're actually looking at the types of jobs that we're saying will be out there in the region, and looking to make sure that the housing we're planning in the region can actually fit the wages of those jobs. We'll inventory, Sacramento Housing Redevelopment will inventory the housing policies and funding throughout the region, and help us develop a jobs accessibility and transportation cost analysis for our transportation plan. And so this will be a new look at how we, what types of transportation costs there are associated with getting to the employment that we have in our planning process. For the first time, SHRA will help us do a regional analysis of impediments to fair housing. And so that's a grant requirement, but really a milestone, I think, for the region to have that regional analysis all in one place. And then we'll follow this with an enhanced regional housing needs plan that will follow our MTP and our RENA process, but really look at how can we help our member jurisdictions with their housing elements. How can we provide tools to all make our work a little bit smarter, and how can we plan better together. Work activity 3 looks at the natural resources of our region, and primarily we'll look at how we develop those resources for our environmental analysis for the MTP, but then also look at how we can secure final federal approval to some other tools that we have in the region. We, for the first time, have a 6-county aquatic resources inventory that the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers was able to fund through American Recovery Act funding. And so that we have this new aquatic resources inventory that we will be looking at with the 3 primary agencies who permit aquatic resources, U.S. EPA, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and the Army Corps, to look at how we can develop a similar permitting strategy for those 3 agencies to work with those who do need to permit those resources in the future. We'll be developing tools that measure the impacts on natural resources better through our environmental document for the MTP. And looking at how we can integrate with the habitat conservation plans that are already underway. We have 4 of those happening in the region in South Sacramento County, Placer County, Yolo County, and then up in New Sutter County. All have different habitat conservation plans that are at different places, but how can we integrate our MTP process with those planning efforts? And then this work will wrap up with a review of how our sustainable community strategy integrates with principles and guidelines that are under development by the Presidential Council on Environmental Quality, which could have serious flood implications, flood management implications for our region. So that's a very quick view of the schedules and tasks that we have as we go through this process. We do plan for monthly meetings of this group and really value your input as we go through this process to look at how do we develop the stakeholders that we need for this planning effort. How can we get more people, the correct people in the room as we review those transit priority areas, as we do the infrastructure cost analysis. And then as we go in to uncover broader issues that maybe don't fit within those transit priority areas, those can be addressed in the MTP process, and so that those will have a home in our MTP process throughout, as we develop that throughout the summer of 2011. So some of the key milestones that are ahead of us are by May of 2011, we need to have the performance metrics ready so that we can do that screening of the transit priority areas. We'll have that screening done by June of this summer. The environmental justice analysis that will be some of those performance metrics that maybe don't apply to the TPAs but are regional metrics. They'll go into our environmental justice analysis for the MTP, which is a requirement that we have. But really a way that we look at equity across the region to make sure that we're investing in all communities as equitably as we can. As we develop the EIR for the MTP, we will include all of the work that's happened on that natural resources planning effort and publish an environmental document by November of 2011. So that by November of this year, we need to have that draft EIR out in circulation so that we can meet our statutory deadline to have our transportation plan updated in April of 2012. Follow-up actions for this, we'll have the action plans for the TPAs that we'll develop in March of 2012, really looking at how do we implement the plans, the ideas that you help us generate for those transit priority areas. What are the actions that are needed? What are the agencies that need to be involved? And what type of financing do we need? The regional housing plan that the Sacramento Housing Redevelopment is helping us do will then wrap up this process in June of 2012. And again, we value your input throughout this process. We really want you to participate in these working groups that we develop, in these monthly meetings, so that we can keep the content running throughout this process. So that's a very quick view of how we got here and the work ahead of us. I'd be happy to take any questions or comments that we have right now on this part of the process.